Hey, Scott.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, you know what? We are so happy today to kick off this episode with our sponsor, Nashville Brew Pass.
Woohoo! Do you see my background?
I see your background. It says Nashville Brew Pass. That's very creative of you, sir.
Steve, Nashville Brew Pass has got new perks. New perk alert.
A new perk alert. Bam! From Nashville Brew Pass.
Bam!
What do we got this week?
All right. We've got Bar Jackalope.
Yes.
We've talked about them before. Buy one, get one free on your first Nashville Brew Pass visit.
That's a deal.
Get your stamp. When you're there, maybe go get you a Lovebird. Or they've got a new Jackalope Light Lager, which I've had recently. So
I just had that recently, too. The Light Lager from Jackalope is very good. Yeah.
When it's 105 degrees outside, that actually is a very nice beer.
Very nice.
There's another one, too. East Nashville Beer Works, the one on Trinity Lane in East Nashville. Free 5-ounce taster on your first visit when you get your stamp.
Awesome.
Just got to bring your passport in.
You got to do it.
Got to do it. Crazy Gnome. Free 5-ounce taster when you buy a drink or some merch. I mean, dude, the savings already is incredible.
The savings is incredible. At Nashville Brew Pass, you discover the best craft brews in Music City. It says it on the back. Oh, you go in, you get your stamp. It also has the cideries here in Nashville as well, and a few other places, right?
Absolutely. There's some distilleries on here we've mentioned before.
Yep, some distilleries
Rice
as well. Rice Vice. Yep.
Still waiting to get over to there. That's going to be epic. So a lot of good places in here.
All right. Well, the only way to do this, though, to get your Nashville Brew Pass, is to go on their website at NashvilleBrewPass.com or go on their Instagram page.
Yes. And if you use the code Brewery Underground Podcast, you get $5 off.
That's awesome.
And it's free shipping. And Steve, these places we mentioned, you and I go anyway.
We go. Yeah, that's right.
These places anyway. So we're going. Now we're just getting additional savings we weren't getting before.
We are, and we will do it again with Nashville Brew Pass. Bam!
Bam! Hey, Steve, something else we haven't talked about yet. Nashville Brew Pass is having another beer event.
Are they?
Beer Flight Night at Bar Jackalope, September 10th from 5 to 8 p.m.
It's going to be a great event.
Second time they've had it there. As always, if you have a Nashville Brew Pass, you don't RSVP, you just show up.
Just show up with your Nashville Brew Pass book.
That's right. If you don't have one, get one, or just RSVP on their website or the link, the social media link, and you're in.
That's it.
You actually don't even have to have the Brew Pass to get in for the flight.
The fine folks at Nashville Brew Pass, they make it very easy and very simple for you.
So, Steve, check out some of the places around town, like Rice Vice, you get 20% off. Multiple places with buy one, get one frees. Half off pints around town. All sorts of things. Just go check out all the places in the Nashville Brew Pass.
Lots of deals with Nashville Brew Pass. We love them. Thank you for being our sponsor.
Stand by for the Brewery Underground podcast.
In Nashville's heart will rise. Craft and brews will meet the skies. Steve and Scott, they lead the way. Brewery Underground night and day. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite.
Hey, welcome back to this, what we think is a very special edition of the Brewery Underground podcast. You know, they're all special, Scott Turan, but this one, you know, we had already recorded something, the Summer Travels edition of the Brewery Underground podcast. We will get to that, but there's a whole lot of other things that just happened. This is what we call breaking news in the Nashville area, just in the last couple of days. And you, my friend, you knew about this. You found out about this recently. You had told me, you had told a few other people. It wasn't confirmed. Now it is.
It's confirmed. Do you want me to take the lead on this?
Yes, sir. I'm setting you up. Take the lead on this.
For those that have been living under a rock for the past 24 hours, and in this area, it's big news, and I don't know if it is regionally or nationally. However, we know a lot of people love these breweries. Zool, out of Knoxville, Tennessee, will be taking over Southern Grist.
2 major breweries.
Taking over, which I'm assuming is purchasing. Their words were taking over both locations in Nashville by the end of this year.
Yeah, and I think to say that this is a big deal in the beer market, in the beer community in Nashville, in the brewery community of Nashville, I mean, it's almost an understatement.
Yes.
Southern Grist has been one of the leaders of breweries in Nashville for quite some time.
We are huge fans.
We are huge fans. We're big fans, huge fans of Zool as well. We know that the two of them have been working together over the last few years doing collabs and things like that. But now it's official, is going to be taking over Southern Grist in Nashville.
Yep.
And taking over the locations. Southern Grist, the locations there are going to stay. They're just going to be owned by Zool.
They're going to be Zool. We don't know if the Grist name is going to stay. We don't know any of that. None of that's come out. But one of the locations is their manufacturing. So for us in this area, we are excited about the fact that they might be making Zool in our backyard, which also means we hope to be getting that fantastic beer as it comes off the brewery, right? Like if people go to Knoxville and stand in line for 2 or 3 hours for these releases, we hope that happens here. So that's what we are excited about, to have access to that Zool beer right here where we live.
Yeah, and the timeliness of all this is the fact that, for me personally, I just went to Zool for the first time recently. And later on in this podcast, what we already had recorded, I talk about my trip to Zool. So it's very timely. And you're going to Zool in the next couple of days. You're going
in like 2 days. I'm going. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So it's big news. It's exciting news.
It is.
We're very excited about it in a good way. Like, I really like this thing. I don't know what's going to happen to the Grist thing. I guess we'll wait and see about that.
Yeah.
But Zool is here, people. It's in Nashville. They're coming.
Yeah,
we love it.
Definitely. We love it. I mean, there's a lot of details. It sounds like it's going to be hammered out from the statements that we're seeing out there. They're going to be releasing more information down the road of what this all means. It does sound like, which was something I read, was it sounds like the people that work at Southern Grist are going to remain.
Yep.
So that's certainly good news as well.
Yep.
The fact that, again, this is a little bit of speculation, but the fact that these two have been working together for the last couple of years on collabs and things like that, it sounds like hopefully it's going to be a somewhat seamless transition.
It sounds like it. And what they were saying was Southern Grist, and you can look up on Zool's social media and Southern Grist. They both have posts out. That's why we can talk about it. Like, this official, it's coming from them. Southern Grist was looking at their next 10-year plan. They'd been in business 10 years. They were looking at kind of their next 10 years plan, as was Zool. And Zool was looking to expand. I know they were looking to come here for a while. In their words, luck and fate has come to the beer industry for this epic change.
Yes.
It sounds like it's a win-win for everyone. In my opinion, I hope the Grist brand sticks around in some capacity.
Yeah.
We got no control over that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, we both have been Grist fans for years. You know, one of our phrases has been, you know, anytime somebody says you want to go to Southern Grist, well, of course I want to go to Southern Grist.
Yes. What time you going?
What time you going?
Yeah.
And then, you know, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I know for myself, when I started seeing Zool around town at tap rooms and other places, you know, in breweries and getting their beer, I was like, this is some damn good beer.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to their tap room and brewery in Knoxville just recently, and I went, yeah, you know, I'm going to be, again, because we're recording, part of this podcast was already recorded. You're going to hear more of me in a little bit talk about my trip to Zool. But again, as we said in the beginning, to say this is a really big deal for the brewery community and the brewery industry in Nashville, it really is.
Yeah. And if you're jealous because you don't live in Nashville, so what?
Come visit.
Come visit. It's going to be awesome. I really think it's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome. And as we find out more information, we will certainly release that information out there and talk more about it on the podcast. And we cannot wait to see what's going to happen when Zool comes here to Nashville.
Yeah, I think everybody's waiting with bated breath to kind of see what comes next. I mean, the end of the year is not that far away. We're talking 3 months. It's about to be September. So
yeah,
we're going to see some movement, I think. So stay tuned with us and social media, because it's going to be all over the place.
Well, stay tuned. And again, as I said in the beginning, we have re-recorded this as part of this podcast episode because we felt it was that big of an announcement to start out with. So now, on with the show. We are sort of in that mid to late summer range now. And, I think you probably have had a few summer plans. You've been out and about, I know, during the summer, right?
Yep. Went and
Soaking
did a few
up the
things.
sun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Went and did a few things. Did some stuff around town. Yeah. We'll talk about. Went to a new brewery that opened up here recently. So we'll get into that here shortly. But yeah, we've run into each other a few times. We've made some plans. We've done a few things. You've done some things. I've done some things. We've done some things.
We have done a few things this summer, and we're going to do a thing today. We are basically kicking off this episode, just you and I. We've had a lot of guests in the last couple of months, but man, we got a lot to talk about going on here in the Nashville area and other places. But there is something that is happening during the summertime for me. It is that West Coast IPA tour that I'm on that I'm going to talk about a little bit, and I'm kicking it off today. Kicking off a beer. What better brewery to kick off a West Coast XPA Source Tone from our friends at Brewery?
That's a wonderful beer. That's a great beer. The XPA is kind of cool, right? Extra Pale Ale, I believe is what that is.
Ah.
Or extra, what is that? Yeah, XPA, I guess.
I have not had it yet, so looking forward to it.
It's awesome. It's awesome. Okay. Believe it or not, I started with the Skyline chili beer that I made.
Oh my.
It's been sitting there for a good 6 weeks untouched, and I went back and revisited it, and it's a little better. So we'll revisit that. However, that was just to try it out. But in honor of your West Coast tour, I have a West Coast IPA, and it's maybe the ultimate. I got Pliny the Elder.
Nice.
Yes. So
all right.
I'm going to be cracking that here in honor of your continuing trip.
That's right. And I did get this wonderful Barrique West Coast XPA at Main Street Liquors in downtown Nashville. I was just there a couple of days ago. So,
nice. Very nice
love
place.
That place.
We love that place. So
cheers.
And by the way, thanks for taking the time out to work up the intro from your tour. You'd work away and you did it while you were on tour.
I know it. While I was all across the West Coast, I had time to fly in a team of experts to also help out with our new intro. For those of you that are not on Spotify, because we do video on Spotify, if you're on some other platforms, you won't be able to see it there. You probably see it on YouTube as well.
YouTube.
So we're just trying to mix it up and do some creative things here on occasion at the Brewery Underground podcast.
Yeah, we had some intro music, and we're like, what better way to make the opening better? And we'll add some video and some pictures and some stuff that we've done, and it's really cool. It's actually a nice, really, really nice touch.
Yeah, well, thank you, sir. It's a lot of fun doing all those kind of creative things every once in a while, and we have enough content out there now. We have enough videos. We have enough pictures with people that, why not share it with the world?
I know we got, and then you and I were talking throughout the process. You were like, we're both like, hey, have you got this picture for that thing and that thing for this? And have you got this? Where's that? Because we did that. And it was cool. And you got a whole bunch of good shit in there.
Yeah. And it could be a work in progress. I'm sure at times we'll change it up and, we'll do some other stuff.
Yeah. I think the way that platform is, and you did it on Riverside.
Yep.
It's easy to customize if you want to pull some in, pull some out, and just replace in there. And you could kind of customize it for a particular podcast if you wanted to, or just change some stuff up. So I think Riverside lends itself to being, we'll call it easily customizable.
Easily customizable. Love it. Well, we'll be talking more about that in the distant future as well. And we had just previously talked about some of our summer travels, and something I'm going to talk about in a little bit was a recent summer travel that I made to Bristol, Tennessee for the Speedway Motor Classic. Actually, it was the baseball classic between the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves. That's coming up. That's one heck of a story.
Yeah. Your stories always seem to have some kind of twist. Remember the Michigan story coming back from Michigan?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think everybody has those airport stories, though.
Definitely.
I think we've all been there. So, yeah. Well, We want to talk about some breweries here in Nashville because there's been a lot going on this summer. But first, I want to talk about a brewery that you have been to, and it was really almost the lone brewery in Nashville that had eluded me in the Nashville area. There's some other outliers, but in the Nashville area, I had not been to Broadcast Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you had been. I think they opened, about 2 years ago? Is that right?
I think about that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they had a 2-year anniversary, if I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
So I went to Broadcast Brewing a couple of days ago, and it's funny because Mike, the owner, he's a great guy. We ran into him at Preds Fest over the summer and got the chance to talk to him for a while. And what was really funny was, I'm walking up, and I hear somebody call my name, and it's our buddy Kyle and his wife who were sitting out on the patio. And you reminded me afterwards, after I texted you later in the day, and I'm like, I went to Broadcast Brewing, and I ran into Kyle, and like, were you guys singing the national anthem or anything like that? Right. And I'm like, no, I totally forgot about that.
He's your duet partner.
He's my duet partner. Yeah, there was an episode about a year or so ago. You had caught us one night for some reason. We were at a friend's house. I think there were a couple of whiskey pours, and if for some reason we started singing the national anthem, which I rarely, if ever, sing, so it must have been a couple of whiskey pours that night.
There was, and then we dropped it. We put it at the beginning of the episode that dropped July 4th, and I don't remember what episode that was, but it was the perfect intro to that episode.
It was really funny.
And luckily, maybe, we weren't doing video back then. So
thank God.
I have video, but the video does not exist out on social media or on this platform. So
nor should it. I think we've all been there. On occasion.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the video. There's really nothing. You and Kyle are just standing there singing. So.
Just singing,
Just singing.
That's something I do very much. So
it was good. Good times.
It was good. It was what was really funny about that when I walked up, and as soon as I walked up and they saw me, Mike, the owner, came out and he sees me and he says, and I said, yeah, I said something like, I'm finally coming. I promised I would come. And he said, well, you've been here before. And Kyle was like, you've been here before. And I started laughing and I said, no, I haven't been here before. And they're like, yeah, you have. And I'm like, well, maybe I had, and I just didn't remember it, but I think I would remember.
You definitely remember because it was always on your list of places to go. I think they probably just have seen you around town enough. They just assumed you had been there.
Well, the funny thing is, when I was outside and I went in and I got a beer and I went back out and I went in and got another beer. And Mike looked at me when I came in and goes, he goes, you're right about that. He goes, it wasn't here. I actually ran into you at Preds Fest. And I said, that's okay, man. I mean, so many people and so much time. You only have so much time on your hands. So.
Yeah, no worries. I'm glad you got over there because we've talked about them before and I've been and you've met Mike and I've met Mike and he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice, warm, welcoming guy. From day one when we went in there when he first opened, and he's remembered us every time we've gone back and seen him out and stuff. So expect to hear him on this podcast one day. We gotta nail him down.
Yeah, I know he's fairly new to the brewery world and is trying to grow his business. And I know when I went there, I had a couple of beers. One of them, I feel like there was a conversation that we had a while back that you don't, at least I don't drink too many cream ales. And I'm not so sure how many cream ales you see on a tap menu when you go to breweries. Maybe it's a little unique to some, but you don't always see a lot of cream ales. And I saw one that he had. It was the Waveform Supernova. And I looked at that and I said, you know what? That sounds like a good idea. I am going to get the Waveform Supernova Cream Ale. Basically, it was with, vanilla and cherry notes in it, and I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It's a good job, Mike. And also I had his pale ale called the Echo. So I thought those were two great beers, and those were my starter beers at Broadcast Brewing. And he's doing good stuff over there, and I can't wait to get back to Broadcast Brewing.
He's got a really good reputation in this town for making good beer.
Yeah.
I think anybody that drinks craft beer in this town that knows anything about it knows that Mike makes good beer.
Yeah, and certainly a great location because it's over near Geodis Park, which is, for people that are not familiar with the Nashville area, it's a Major League Soccer stadium over there. And because you guys have gone over there a few times and it's blocks away. You can walk from Broadcast Brewing to over there.
We did, yeah. I think the first time we went, might have been around the game or maybe afterwards, but then we've been before game too, and then we've gone afterwards. We went in there one time. Stokes and I went in there one time. And they were playing that Singo.
Yeah,
you know, you have to it's bingo board, but they're playing songs, and we're just standing there, and he gives us both the board, and they've been halfway through the game, and he just said that one's been played, that one's been played. So he was helping us out on the board.
Yeah,
but it was a good time. We didn't win, but
yeah, that's okay.
But he's a nice dude and nice guy, and
yeah.
He'll be on here.
Well, and it's good to see a small brewery that, has only been around for about 2 years. It's good to see them doing well. And, I'm sure he'll have a lot more success going forward. My friend, I have not been there yet. There is another new brewery that just opened in Nashville. I know you went to the soft opening. I plan to get there soon. We are so excited for the guys. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Stoke Haus.
Yes.
Talk about them, Scott. Talk about your experience there.
I think their official name is Stoke Haus Brewing and Barbecue.
Yes.
It's awesome. And like you said, I went for the soft opening. It was last Thursday, August 7th. And dude, so they had 4 beers out already. They had an ESB, a dark ale, a New England IPA, and a West Coast IPA too. So you need to get over there and get that one.
Yes, sir. I will be.
And we know, so the owners are Chad and Mike from TennFold. And if anybody didn't know that, and if you know anything about TennFold, have had TennFold beer, you know how good that beer is. This beer is just as good, if not better. Like it is, it's those guys making it. So it's their stuff. It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I gave anything less than a 4.3 over there for those.
Yeah.
And the one I loved the most was one called, it was called Reserve, and it was their West Coast IPA at a 4.5. I gave it at 7%. Man, it is stellar beer, as you can imagine.
Well, and the cool thing was that, like I said, I'm going to get there. I was actually hoping to get there because a couple days later, I thought, I don't know if they're open yet on a Sunday, but I'll get to go to Main Street Liquors anyways and get some West Coast IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're right next to Main Street Liquors because they're in the old Crazy Gnome location. So I went down there on a whim thinking, maybe they'll be open on a Sunday. They weren't yet. But, as we're recording this now, and this is going to be released, they're going to be open pretty much for full service hours. And so, I'll be there. But yeah, we're so excited for them. Like I said, they're in the old Crazy Gnome location there, and really talk about their space and how much they've changed it.
Yeah. So first of all, I mentioned the barbecue.
Yes.
They've got a food truck outside, but it's their food truck. It's Stoke Haus food truck. It's not a guest one. It's theirs. So that's basically their kitchen out there. I think Mike handles the food and Chad's handling the beer on the inside. But man, they've got brisket, pulled pork, ribs, mac and cheese. They had coleslaw, everything that goes with barbecue they had. And it looked like the platters were coming out. Remember the old, when you're in the lunchroom and you got your tray?
Yeah.
It was every big as that. I mean, it was in a full tray was just loaded with food when it would come out, and it was just stellar, and it smelled fantastic in there. And space is really nice. They, they got it decked out on their decor and their colors. When you would walk in the door, the bar was pretty long. They actually shortened the end of the bar a little bit.
Okay.
And when I saw Grayson there, he said he wished it was that way when he was there because they have a hard time getting a pallet through when they were trying to come through the front door and get a pallet through. So they would have a hard time. So that shortened that up. But anyway, it's pretty. It looks kind of the same. The bar layout's the same, the table seating, but the colors and stuff in there are different to theirs. And let me tell you, man, testament to this beer community in this area. The who's who of the craft beer world was there. Local craft beer world was there that night.
Yeah.
Man, Carl Meyer from Black Abbey was there.
Well, and let me just say for that makes perfect sense, of course, because Chad got his start at Black Abbey under Carl, with Carl, and then went on to TennFold and now is owning a brewery with Mike. So that beer history tree, the craft beer history tree, extends far, and it's really, really such a fantastic thing to see.
It is, man. And we saw Grayson Miller there, who, like you said, that was the previous Crazy Gnome location. He's supporting them there. He's there for the soft opening.
Yes.
Anthony Davis, East Nashville Beer Works, he was there. We saw Adam Smith from Music City Brew Hop. He was there.
Good old Adam,
Yeah, Sean from Nashville Beer Geeks. I met the guy that owns Wanderlinger out of Chattanooga, and he actually lives here, but the brewery is in Chattanooga. He was there. Nick from 10 Lakes out of Lebanon was there. So Anna from Blackstone.
Yes.
was there. So seeing people support each other in this industry, in this city, is amazing. I know we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
And here's another example of it, man. And people, and look, and that was Thursday. I think there were more people there that went Friday that weren't there Thursday. I saw some pictures and some different faces that I saw. So, man, we know Nashville pretty well, and we know how supportive each other are in this city. I hope other cities do that to each
definitely.
other. And I don't know, we don't know them as well, but man, if everyone's doing that in the craft beer community, it's lifting everybody up. And I hope other cities are doing it as well as Nashville's doing.
Yeah, I hope so too. And the example that I bring about was when we recently had on Esoteric in Cincinnati, and they have, their owner has ties to Mad Tree, and they were talking about the support that they get from Mad Tree Brewing up there. So it is really good to see, because the beer community, it is a somewhat small community. It's a tough business. It's not an easy business, but I'll tell you, the thing that really, as you said, stood out for me was the fact that these are two guys that have been at it for quite some time. I know they're going to brew good beer, and the space is great. And I love the fact that, as you said, the food option's different. It's not just sometimes you go to a brewery and it's just like, oh, okay, I'll have your pizza, or maybe some other things, but it's different. And it also represents Nashville, because that's what Nashville is about, the food options.
It is. Yeah. And it's a really good, and you know how TennFold would pair their food with the beer?
Yeah.
Like if you would look at the menu, it would say this pairs well with this beer. So I haven't seen a menu there yet, but they're going to pair their food with their beer. It's part of their game plan, I think. And nobody can do it better than these guys.
That's
right. They've been doing it. They do it very well, and they're going to be fantastic. They already had to-go cans in the cooler, so you can already get to-go stuff. They did, if anybody remembers, there was the outside area. They built a fence basically between the parking lot and then like the gym, and you probably saw it when you were there.
Yes.
So they got a fence built up, so it's more like a secluded kind of outdoor area. It's just it's a little different. It's cool, but it's a wonderful spot, and they maximize the space they got in there for sure.
Yeah, they will do well. So
they're going to do well, and I think the city is really excited as a whole for them to be open.
Well, yeah, and anytime you get a new brewery that's going to open in Nashville, and this time where we know it's not always easy, but I think these guys are going to do well, and we certainly look forward to seeing their progress down the road.
For sure. And their official grand opening date, which this will have come out already, but it's August 16th. So by the time anybody hears this, they will be open officially. So you should be able to stop by and during their normal regular business hours, whatever those are going to be. So
stop on by.
I have to go back anyway, because I didn't get a sticker the first time. I was just so busy mingling with everybody and talking to everybody. I was like, oh, gives me a reason to go back.
I know it. I'm going to be there too, so we'll probably have to hit together, and I'll coordinate a time to do that. Well,
by the way, one more thing on that. You know, they had the big cooler door when you walk in the front door and had all those stickers on it.
Yeah, a
good part of those are gone, but guess what? Ours is still there. Yes, there was something that, I don't know, something removed a bunch of them in the middle, but our sticker was still there. So just letting you know that we still exist out there.
Awesome. The Brewery Underground podcast. Follow us.
And look for a sticker.
Look for a sticker, everybody. Look for a sticker. Hey, you had mentioned, because they were at TennFold for a number of years, and they left TennFold. And TennFold just announced just recently that they also have a new brewery.
Yeah. We met him briefly at the Preds Beer Fest, if you remember.
Yes.
In that VIP section, we went back. He was there, and we had met him, and I think we spoke to him for a couple of minutes. And I want to say, I don't know, that's a fact. I think he told me that TennFold is in good hands.
I think TennFold is in good hands, and they brew a lot of good beer. And it would be hard to fail with the business model that TennFold has. So we're certainly looking forward also to seeing what else comes down the road for them.
Yeah, for sure. That's a place we need to get back to soon too.
Well,
it's hard to be in all these places at once. We just can't be it all at once. But
we were there not long ago for the Nashville Brew Pass event. So, make sure that you follow our good friends at Nashville Brew Pass.
Nashville Brew Pass. Yep. That's where we got our first stamp in the book, too, by the way.
Yeah. Bam.
I think you were presented the book that day, weren't you? Didn't you get your book that day? Yeah.
Yes, I was. In fact, hold on. I still have my book right here. I'm ready to get more stamps.
Okay, but what you didn't do was follow my advice on our last intro, or our last ad, as far as keeping it in the car.
I know, but I'm going to do it from now on. But I had it here for podcast purposes.
Okay,
that's why it's
fair.
here today.
That's fair.
Yep.
Very fair. Okay.
Yep. That's an easy catch for me today, but all right.
There's no one pulling over your eyes, is there?
No, trying not to. Trying not to. There seems to be, and there also seems to be a lot going on also at another brewery in Nashville, and that would be Bearded Iris.
Yes. They officially, when I say officially, it's been made public that they've been bought by Wiseacre out of Memphis, Tennessee. So I don't know, listening and reading comments and things, it sounds like this was in the works for a long time. I don't know all the details, but we don't know what's going to happen in town with their locations. I don't know that they were brewing beer here in a while anyway, from what I read, but they're going to have manufacturing here. Wiseacre is. What they do with these spaces, I don't know. I haven't heard much.
Yeah, we don't know.
Rumors.
They have 2 locations over in West Nashville, and then the one over in
Germantown.
Germantown. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and the manufacturing, I think, is in Germantown. At least the tanks and stuff are all there. So, it'd be interesting to see what they do with it. I didn't know Wiseacre was kind of that big. Maybe they are, but they bought a good brand. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
Yes, and don't get rid of Homestyle IPA, please. It's one of my favorites.
You can't. It's what made Bearded Iris.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you really did.
If you think of Bearded Iris, you think of Homestyle.
Yeah, you really do.
So surely they got to keep the brand alive. It's a good brand.
Hopefully so. And they're one of the older breweries, in Nashville, and they've been doing good things for a number of years.
Absolutely. Well, it'd be interesting to see what they do, and hopefully sooner than later, so we can see what changes are coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there is something near and dear to my heart that's happening. At least it looks like it's happening soon. It's been announced on their website, and I heard about it not long ago. Mr. Brews, it's one of my favorite tap rooms in Murfreesboro. You go in there and they got a lot of great beer on tap. They got a lot of great food. I've been several times. And of course, I live south of Nashville, so it's a little more convenient for me to get there. They are going to be opening up a location in Smyrna in the old Casual Pint location.
Yeah.
And I am so happy about this because it's right down the street from where I live. One of the sad parts sometimes is that philosophies change or business plans change. And when the Casual Pint there in Smyrna had come about, it was servicing an area that needed it for craft beer. And I just think over time, maybe a lot of things changed with ownership. I think we had heard that the owner had actually moved away and was no longer living in town. And you could kind of tell that there were just a lot of different changes there that didn't help their business model. So Mr. Brews going in there is going to be, I think it's going to be perfect. It's a growing area anyway. I mean, they're building so much up in the Smyrna, Tennessee area, Murfreesboro. I mean, I think Rutherford County, where I live, I saw the other day, is like the fifth largest growing county in Tennessee. So come on, more breweries. You need to get here.
Yeah, and you said it, man. Smyrna needs something, and Laverne needs something, and Casual Pint was good for a bit. Mr. Brews is going to be that place.
Yeah.
And look, I don't know how many taps they're going to have. I remember that Casual Pint had a bunch. I mean, it had to be a couple dozen if they stick with that. So if you get a couple dozen taps in there, and we know how good Mr. Brews is in Murfreesboro with the selection they've got. So if it's half as good, they can clean up in that town. There's nothing else there for craft beer.
And it's my understanding, too, I think that they are going to serve food there. So that'll be a good thing. It's so funny. The other day, I saw somebody post that they were at Mr. Brews in Murfreesboro, and they were excited because they had the PB&J Zool on tap there. And I kind of laughed because I think they've had it on tap for about the past year. Every time I go in there, it's usually on tap there. So, they are certainly on the Zool train like so many others are.
For sure. It'll be interesting to see what other stuff they get in there and what they keep. But that is a place because they change and have such a selection at Mr. Brews. You could go in every day or every other day and find new stuff. So that's what I'm excited about because maybe we could go as regular as we used to go to Casual Pints.
Yes, another reason to come to Rutherford County. I know. Battle the traffic.
Yes. Depends on what time you're going. Depends on how good the traffic is or bad. But,
I know. That's how I am. I'm that way during the week when it comes to Nashville. The closest brewery to Nashville to me is Tailgate down there in Tanger Outlets.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it's like, okay, how much traffic do I want to sit on I-24 just to get to a brewery? I could sit at my house and drink some of this beer.
That's right. You got enough of it. That's for sure.
I have enough of it. Yeah. Another one that we heard about a few months ago, and I don't know too much about this place yet. It is a concept. It's called Smackdab Brewing that's supposed to be opening in Murfreesboro at some point. Now, I don't have details on when they're opening, but from what I understand, from what I've read, there's a couple of owners, Jeff Bellamy, Brett Fagan, and I think his name is Noel Robbins or Noel Robbins. They're going to be opening up a microbrewery and a taproom concept basically right around, I think it's near the Courthouse Square area.
That little square, yep, that's what I saw too.
In Murfreesboro. And again, Murfreesboro is another area that I think they need more.
They do. We've lost a couple, and to see one come back, it's like, okay, let's bring a couple back. Yeah, I'm excited about that one too. I think they're home brewers, or at least a couple of them were home brewers, and then they found a location down there, and they're making it happen. So we're excited about that. Anytime we can open a new brewery, man, let's go check them out, and let's get the more the merrier.
Yeah, exactly. It was funny because not long ago I was at Cedar Glade in Murfreesboro. I walked in there and I had a round. In fact, it was so funny. This was before the Speedway Classic, and I was sitting there talking to somebody, and then there was a young couple that was sitting there too. They were going to the Speedway Classic. Didn't run into them because there were thousands of people there that I'll talk about in a few minutes. But always love getting to Cedar Glade in Murfreesboro as well. And I got to get back there, and Middle Ground Brewing, which is another great place. And there's a tailgate location, and of course we can't forget our friends of Deep South Growlers that also have.
Of course, we always hit them when we're there. Absolutely. Yeah. You know what? I haven't made a trip up that way in a while. Let's plan on that in the next few weeks and get up there. And I'll go your direction for a change.
Yeah, the Southern Loop.
Absolutely, which I enjoy. We always have a good time when we do that. So. Hey, so so Nashville Brew Pass just had another event recently that I went to.
Yes.
And I'll talk about it real quick. It was back on August 4th, and their event was at Black Abbey. We had mentioned it on an ad, and I think on a promo or something, and on Instagram. But anyway, I stopped by there for the free flight, and it was awesome. You got 3 beers, and one of them was brand new to me. Like they're giving you really good stuff. And then, so I go to get my Brew Pass stamped, and he goes, well, hang on. Once you order your next one, we'll stamp it because it's buy one, get one free on top of that. So when you get your first stamp, you get a free beer after that. So
I love it.
Yeah, so I got a free flight. I bought 1 beer and got another free beer of anyone on the board that I wanted. So it was fantastic. Wonderful turnout. The place was busy, and I got there right about when they opened. We saw our buddy Robert Spivey, who we see everywhere.
Yes.
And they just, when I got done, people were just still coming in. So just a great event, cool spot. I've been to 2 of the 3 so far, and I hope Nashville Brew Pass keeps doing these because they're really cool events.
Yeah, bringing people together in the beer community, and we love it.
Yeah, it's cool. And it's free beer, man, and you don't even now we want everybody to get the Nashville Brew Pass, but you don't even have to have it for the event. All you do is register ahead of time.
That's all you do.
And you show up and you get your beer. And if you have one, you get it stamped and you get another one. So anyway.
Extremely simple.
Yeah. So it was a really cool event to go to. So hopefully they keep coming out with these monthly. So, hey, and one more thing before you get into your story.
Yeah.
Your baseball story. You know how Spotify, sometimes we get on there and we like to check our audience, and it's fun to see like who's listening from different countries.
Yeah.
Yes. Just real quick, what our show right now is 97.9% of our audience is in the U.S. We got 0.4% in Russia, 0.4% in Norway, 0.2% in the UK, and 0.2% in Australia. And I put a little post out the other day taking a screenshot of that and saying something about it. But the reason I mention it is because last week I got a DM on Instagram, and it was from a guy named JT. And his Instagram handle is JTCrafty _craft beer, and crafty is with a K. And he's from Brisbane, Australia. And he was driving down the road and he was listening to our podcast.
Well, thank you and cheers, sir. Hey,
yes.
Hey, mate, cheers.
Yes. He took a picture of the navigation. He took a picture of the screenshot where he's listening to us all the way in real time from Australia. And I thought that was the coolest damn thing. So the reason I mentioned the stats earlier is because it's like, hey, man, actually maybe those numbers are real in some way, 0.2%, whatever that equates to. But somebody really is out there listening, maybe in other parts of the world. So just thought it was cool. Cheers. Shout out to JT. Thanks, man. We appreciate you. And anybody else who out there is listening.
That's right. And if you are listening again from Antarctica, let us know.
It's going to pop up one day. I just know it.
One of these days. Somebody who's listening from Antarctica.
I'm going to fly to Antarctica and listen just so we can get that stat.
Yeah.
I don't know if it even will register, but
my gosh,
we'll make it happen. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to talk about my trip here in a couple of minutes to East Tennessee, but also, we are basically now in Oktoberfest season.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a bit of an early start.
Meanwhile, it's August 13th, but you're not wrong.
I know. I got a bit of an early start. I've drank a couple of Oktoberfest beers. Drank one on the Hop and Frog podcast.
Yeah.
Their Oktoberfest, which, by the way, was a fantastic 2-part episode, people. If you're listening to this and you haven't listened to the Hop and Frog podcast in Akron, because we went up there a few months ago and we had a couple of those guys on there. They were absolutely fan-damn-tastic, and they were very passionate about what they do. And it's a championship podcast right there.
It really is. I've been editing that this week, and man, I can't get enough of it. I'm excited for people to listen to it. Those guys were awesome.
Yes, very, very awesome. So I had an Oktoberfest beer so far from them, and I also had an Oktoberfest beer when I went to Johnson City Brewing that I'll talk about in a second. But you've had some Oktoberfest already, right?
Yeah. So the first one I had this year was on July 5th, so 4th of July weekend. I was over at Chris Finnan's house, and you say, well, how did you get an Oktoberfest that early? Well, our friend Calvin, he stashes, he'll buy cases of the Sam Adams Oktoberfest at the end of the season so that they'll last him until the next season. Well, he was getting close, so he's got to start drinking these old ones from last year. So the one I drank on July 5th was from last season's batch, if you will. But I was like, all right, so that was the first one I had this year, this season. But then, Deep South Growler had one. I was over there a few weeks ago, and they had one called Lederhosen.
Yeah.
By Cigar City. So that was probably my first official for this season, Oktoberfest. And it was a Marzen, man. And it was really good. And then since then, I've had many Nashville Brewing Company fest beers and not a lot of assortment. I have not gone out and bought a bunch yet to bring home, but that's coming. I mean, it's here.
And then I also want to make mention, because we have talked about it so much on this podcast, about all the PB&J beers that are still out there, the new ones that are coming about. I had a recent one from our friends at Tailgate Brewery. Actually, you were there. You were there with me.
I witnessed it.
Yes, the PB&J Uncrusties Sour Schnack, and that one was that was a sour fruited from Tailgate. That one was pretty good. I had one from Common John. That was also a pretty decent one as well. I had that from Mr. Brews. And then, well, I guess I got to get into my trip.
Here we go. I'm going to buckle in. This is me buckling in.
Got to get into the trip. So took a recent road trip to East Tennessee. And my first stop, now the whole trip was supposed to be going to the Speedway Classic in Bristol, Tennessee to see the Reds play the Atlanta Braves. But on the way, my first trip, my first time ever, you had been before, I had to stop at the world-famous Zool.
You have to.
And Zool, of course, it did not disappoint. I got there on a Thursday afternoon. I can tell you it was about 110 degrees outside when I got there.
Yeah, that's about right.
In the middle of summer. I mean, I just remember getting there and thinking, I've been driving for a few hours, and this is going to be a perfect spot to get some beer. Not a lot of heavy beer because I'm driving, and now it's also time for lunch. And thank God they had some food there. But yeah, so when I did get there, I remember you were leading up to a couple days beforehand. You kept saying, you're about to have your 1,000th check-in of a beer on Untapped.
I think I was more excited about it than you were.
Well, you love stats. I love stats.
I do. Yeah. Well, I know the 1,000. The 1,000 is a pretty good number, so I was excited for you.
comparatively, by your standards and many others, it's not that high. But you know what? It's a high number, I guess, right?
It's a high number, and
it's a high number.
Yes, yeah, it's a high number. So it should be applauded.
Okay, well, thank you for applauding, everybody. But no, I planned it. I said, all right, I got to make it special. So I went there. I got a flight, and I made sure that my 1000th check-in was the PB&J mixtape strawberry from Zool.
That's amazing.
And ladies and gentlemen, it did not disappoint. It did not disappoint. I believe. Let me take a quick look. I'm pretty sure though. I know what I rated it on the old Untapped app. I rated it a 4.50.
4.50
on Untapped.
That is stellar.
That is high territory. Yeah.
There aren't many that get up in that range, are there?
Yeah. I've had a few this year.
You're drinking good beer.
I'm drinking good beer. Ironically, a lot of them have been from Zool.
Well, we're seeing a little bit more here, right? A little bit dribs and drabs here, and then you getting there obviously helps that too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it was a good time. Got a flight from there, and that was the only mixtape that I got that day because I was like, we've talked about this before, and I can't say if the strawberry would have been one that some of you go, I only would want this on a flight. It's a little bit too sweet. A flight is fine. Maybe I would probably take that one in a 16-ounce pour, 16-ounce can. I think that was pretty good.
Well, look, you're running through the flavors, aren't you? You've had peach.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You've had the regular, which I think is grape. You've had strawberry. You had blueberry. You had blueberry last year.
Yes.
You're running through them all. You've had peach, and I haven't even had peach yet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I also have to make mention, in all fairness, it wasn't just that what I got on a flight. I got their Mexican lager, which I also liked, and I got their American lager. It was Couch Time, which was pretty good, and a New England hazy IPA, Small Vices. So I really mixed it up that day on my flight when I went to Zool, and I really enjoyed my trip there.
I don't remember. Did you take a picture? I'm sure you did, of the flight.
I did.
Yeah, probably a lot of color variation in there, right?
There was, yeah.
Yeah. Has to be. You're really good at that, by the way. Especially, and with what you described, like there's got to be some color variation in there.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I know at the end of the year when we rank our top 10 breweries, new breweries that we visited so far this year, I have a feeling that Zool will probably be high up on that list.
Yeah, and not to throw out any rumors, but good chance we might see some more of it in town soon.
You never know.
You never know. Okay, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, yes.
And you brought me some back, which I appreciate. You brought me back tiny umbrellas and that peach cobbler one.
The Betty's peach cobbler.
Yes.
Which I just had. I also ranked that at 4.50.
That is really good. It's really sweet. It is really good.
On Untapped. And as you talk about, you also had talked about a couple of the others that I brought back too. All good stuff from Zool. And an observation from Zool. First off, some of the most friendliest people visiting that I've ever been around at a brewery. Now, most people at breweries are all cool and everybody's just cheery to be there and everything else. And I had my shirt on representing, so that caught a little bit of attention. They had to be nice to you.
You talk about them if they weren't.
Yeah, there were some nice people there. And but I think I told you this. An observation that I had is I don't remember going to a brewery before where you saw people that had boxes sitting in front of them of beer ready to go. Like they sell a lot of good beer at Zool. And I saw at least 7 or 8 people that had their boxes loaded up already. And they're ready to take off with them as soon as they're gone. And I'm like, this place really, really does it up great.
Yes. Yeah. That is the ideal place for that. You go in, you take everything they have in the cooler, and you take it home with you, wherever home might be.
That's right. But
so I'm guessing a lot of those people aren't from that area. Just like, when we go through there, it's like, I got to get stuff to take home because I don't live here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there were a couple of people. There was a gentleman 2 guys that were sitting there. I actually asked them to take my picture in front of the Zool sign, and they were from there. They said they didn't get to breweries too often, but they love Zool. And then there was another couple who kind of talked my ear off for a few minutes. I wish I could remember their names. They said they were going to listen to this podcast. So if they did, shout out to you guys. I think they were from somewhere over towards the East Coast, but they were talking about the Nashville breweries, and they've been to Nashville, and they were asking me about recommendations as well. So really, for me, what was going to be kind of a quick trip, about an hour, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, turned into about an hour and a half. But man, I enjoyed it, and I loved every minute of it.
Good. Another one of those brewery experiences, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. We always love the brewery experiences. So that was my field trip to Zool.
To Zool, man. Another one you checked off the list. And that was, like you said, that was high on the list.
Very high on the list.
You know, they've got 2 locations in Knoxville, and I've never been to the other one, Hardin Valley. I've not been to that. I always go to that downtown one that you went to.
Yeah, yeah. So very glad to have gotten to Zool, and certainly I'm sure I'll be back there soon. But from Zool, I was on to East Tennessee, way over to East Tennessee.
Kept going east.
Going. Well, there was some plans on this day because I was going to meet up with some friends the next day. You know, we had an Airbnb and we were going to go do some things, but I had to spend the night in Johnson City, Tennessee. And I had only been in that area once in my life. And so I planned it out. I wanted to go to Johnson City Brewing, the home of our good friend, Eric Latham.
Eric Latham.
Yep.
The man who wears 1,000 hats and does 1,000 things. And when he comes back on here again, we're going to talk to him about all those things.
We are. We're going to talk to him all about it. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to see Eric. Now, they've got a couple locations in Johnson City. There's the one that I went to in the downtown area. It's my understanding he's not in there as often as maybe as their other location, and he's off doing a lot of other things as well. But it was cool going into their downtown location. And it reminded me like of a little Cheers bar. There were so many friendly people in there.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is there were some locals in there, but there were also people in there that were ready. They were there already, like I was, getting ready for the baseball game, you know, that weekend that I got a chance to talk to for a while and, you know, share a lot of good stories with, and drink a lot of great beer.
Yeah. I had been in there, and I think I'd said this somewhere along the way that I'd forgotten I had been there to that location. And at some point I was like, oh wait, I have been there at one time. So, and then I remembered it's a cool little spot in there.
Yeah. It sure is. And we have to thank Eric because he gave us some beer while we were there. In fact, I texted him and I was like, hey, Eric, I'm here. And I didn't think he was going to be in town. And then as I was leaving, the guy behind the bar said, well, Eric just called me and said, give that guy some beer. And I'm like, well, okay.
All right. That's awesome. And you gave me some too. So thank you.
You got some beer. I got some beer.
Yes. Thank you, Eric, for the beer.
Yeah. Thank you very much. But yeah, I had some good beer from there. Had their sea salt lime lager. Also, we talked about Oktoberfest, and I think we're going to get him on soon. They do a lot of different variations of Oktoberfest. Here's one I would have not have thought of in a combination. Butterscotch Oktoberfest. What a combination.
I like the sound of it.
Yeah. What a combination. It was good. You know, it did not take away from what you would expect in Oktoberfest, what Oktoberfest beer would taste like. And you could taste the butterscotch, but it wasn't like overpowering where it took over the beer. It was just right.
Nice.
And so, yeah, it was really enjoyable to drink that.
See, that would lend itself, if it wasn't 100 degrees outside, to like a nice fall beer too, right?
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah.
It sounds really good.
Yeah, and they've got some other variations, I know, and hopefully we'll be talking to them about that, of some other variations of some Oktoberfest beer. So I had a few of those, and then that night I wanted to hit a couple of the other local places because I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to make it back into Johnson City or, you know, that area of Tennessee. So I went to a place called the Tennessee Hills Brewstillery, and I had a Mexican lager there, and it wasn't too bad. I was not misled that night, but I thought they had some food there too. So I was like, I'm on my way. It's time to eat some food. You know how I get sometimes where I'm like, okay, get a little hungry. Got to top it out with a little food.
That's right. Nice balance.
Yeah, a little balance, but went in there and, broke bread with those folks, had a Mexican lager, and then that was pretty good as well. So, and then I went to a place called Great Oak Brewing, and I had a brew in there and had some food, and it was kind of cool because they had a a sign outside that said "Welcome Baseball Fan." So it was like, yes, I'm in the right place.
Yes. Can I tell you something funny? I was updating our map yesterday that ties to our website about all the places we've been.
Yeah.
And I was typing that in for you, and I realized it was already on the list. I had been.
I saw that, yeah.
I didn't know that, but now thinking back, it was the same night I had been to Johnson City, because it was the only every time I've ever was in Johnson City, and I hit bang, bang, and when I saw it, I said, wait, I actually remember this place now, but until you had it on the list, I would have never thought anything about it.
Yeah, well, when I was going through the list and I was updating it, and I was going to add a tab for that, I thought, Scott's already been here, so he beat me to it.
I didn't realize it until I tried to put it on the map, and it was already there.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Nice place, though. Nice place.
Yep.
So yeah, so that was a quick night there in Johnson City doing that thing, and then the next day, I was gonna meet up with my friends. I had some friends coming up from Atlanta. We had an Airbnb, but there was one other brewery I was going to try to get to before they came, which was going to be later in the day. And
Did you race on over to it?
I raced on over.
I just tried to beat you to the punch.
I didn't even think about that, but yes. I went in turn 2 or whatever NASCAR reference I'm trying to come up with. I'm not much of a NASCAR guy, but I got out of my lane and yeah.
You're getting there.
Yeah, I'm crashing and burning on this one.
You're finding it.
Here we go. I did a little research about the breweries in the area, and I thought, okay, I may not get back here for a while. I'd only been in Bristol, Tennessee once in my life, and that was 25 years ago. So it's like, what are the odds I'm coming back? Maybe not great. You got to hit a brewery. So Michael Waltrip, we all know in Nashville who Darrell Waltrip is. You know, he's a former NASCAR winner. Michael Waltrip is also a former NASCAR driver and winner of the Daytona 500. That I know. So I got up the one morning on that Friday morning, and I thought, you know what? They open at 11. I know because the baseball game is the next day, but I know Bristol is not the largest area in the world. This place is probably going to get hopping quick. So I was the first one in there at 11:15. Sat down, got my flight, and as I'm sitting in there, it was the funniest thing that happened. I had sent you and the Hill Tappers a picture, and you guys said, "Is that?" Yeah, I said, "Yes, it is." As I was sitting in there, I'm drinking my flight, and 2 Bristol police officers come, and they're sitting behind me at a table, and I'm like, not often do you see police officers sitting at a brewery. This is kind of interesting. No, they were not drinking beer. They were on duty, and no, I don't think, I know they weren't drinking beer. I think they had ordered Cokes or water, and they were eating some food, but I just sort of laughed because I took a picture, and then you guys are like, are those police officers standing behind you? And I'm like, yeah, that is.
The patch on their arm was pretty prevalent. The picture. And I think it was Mitch who said, are those cops?
Yeah. Are those police officers?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty funny. So
you started drinking slowly at that point?
A little slower.
Yeah.
Not that I really had anything hard, had any hard liquor or any hard beer there anyway. I mean, I basically it was the Talladega Light, the Bristol Sunshine Tangerine Ale, a peach ale, and then I also had a West Coast IPA there, which was actually my favorite beer on the flight, the Slide Job West Coast IPA from Michael Waltrip Brewing, scored a 4 on the old Untapped now.
All right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I stuck around maybe a little bit longer.
Let them leave.
Yeah, had some food.
Let them get the hell out of there.
Drank some water, No, I was perfectly fine, but I just thought, okay, I'll stick around another 45 minutes and then chat with some of the locals, and got to talk to a guy that was from Colorado that was talking to me about the Colorado beer scene, which we all know is fantastic. So that was really good.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yep.
Just racking up beer stories everywhere and brewery stories everywhere.
It's going on. Well, the funny thing is I ended up back at Johnson City Brewing later that afternoon, and I ran into some Reds fans who were from the west side of town where I'm from, and we're talking about, they were in town for the Reds game. We're talking about some of their favorite breweries in Cincinnati, like, I don't know, Listerman. I think we've been. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
You all were speaking the language, I'm sure.
We were. So
yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that kind of capped off my brewery experience there. So then
you packed a lot in those couple days before the baseball game. And thankfully so, if I may say.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm not going to tell you a story, but
well, you've heard it already, and I'm not gonna bore everybody with every solid detail of this story, but
no, actually, but give details, because there was a lot of stuff on social media. There were a lot of, I won't say rumors, but a lot of stuff floating around. Like, was it good? Was it bad? This and that. So tell us from your experience firsthand all about it.
I can confirm some of it.
Yeah, okay.
Firsthand. Well, so first off, I want to say this. And so the group of friends that I went with, I have a friend of mine. She lives in Atlanta. She and I have known each other like 25 years, back from our Nashville days. And she came up. She's a Braves fan. I'm a Reds fan. We've gone to games together. Her boyfriend came up too. And then another friend of theirs from Frankfort, Kentucky, and he's a Reds fan. So because we knew there were going to be challenges in this area because it is rural, you know this from Nashville, when there's a big event, the hotels jack up the rates. You could not find a hotel anywhere near the area. They were charging, $400 a night for this event, for this Speedway Classic game, which were they were expecting like 85,000 people there. So we got an Airbnb in a very rural area of Tennessee, a beautiful area. And I'm not even joking when I say this. It was very beautiful. Not much around there, but it was very beautiful, called Limestone, Tennessee. But it's about a 40-minute drive from Bristol. So it's a bit of a haul. So, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, probably anything around there is going to be a little bit of a haul, right?
Yeah, a little bit of a haul. So we knew that there were going to be some challenges as we were planning all this. And then the day of, we were going to leave fairly early. We weren't sure how long it was actually going to take us to get into Bristol and park and stuff like that. And the fan zone that they had, the fan zone experience was really cool. I mean, it really was. Outside the track, outside the speedway, they had tributes to a lot of the Reds players, active fan zones. You've seen this kind of thing with hockey and other things like that. You've seen that sort of thing. So that was all cool. They had music and they had some food, and thank God we got food there. We got some food. We knew we were going to have to probably stand in line. We didn't get any merchandise because the line for the merchandise tent was probably about 100 people feet deep. There was a long line for merchandise, and we weren't going to stand in line that long for merchandise. So, we hung out outside for a while. It rained a little bit on our heads, got a little soaked before the game. But we went in, and I will tell you that the track was absolutely fantastic, the way they had it laid out. And I'm not a NASCAR guy. I've never been to a NASCAR race in my life. But the way the track was laid out was really cool. The way the ballpark, the field, everything was spectacular. I loved it. In fact, when I went in there, all I really wanted to do was just either sit or stand and just take in everything. I mean, it was just one of those events where you're going, I don't know if I'll ever do this again. So I just want to take it all in. So we went in and we watched batting practice, and our seats were out in the outfield. But the good thing is we were undercover, which was a good thing. And we were sitting there for a while, went downstairs, decided, let's get some food. Let's grab a hot dog. Let's get some beer. And this is when things went a little bit south.
These were some of the rumors that were throwing out there.
Well, the food options were pretty limited. I mean, I got a hot dog that looked like maybe it had been sat on in a car or something with a bun. And I was like, okay. And really no really great beer options. In fact, I think I told you, I said, I got a Michelob Ultra, which I was too embarrassed to even check in. I'm like, no, I'm not going to check this one in.
No, but you should check it in because of the location. Yeah. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah.
If you want.
So the funny thing is, we did have a couple hours to kill. There was a Tim McGraw concert that was supposed to be, that was going to be taking place, and as we were waiting for this, my friends they had not gotten food at first, so they went back downstairs, and they're down there for a while, and they come back up, and they said they've run out of food. What? How do you run out of food? And my friend was on, social media, X, Twitter, whatever, and he was noticing that a lot of people in the place were talking about that they were running out of food at the place. So, yeah, we can confirm they were running out of food in the place, and the food that they had was not good. I mean, it was not good food options at all, and you would expect a lot better from an event like this.
If I can say, the racetrack holds 160,000 people on race day.
Yeah.
If they got, and I saw numbers up to 91,000. Okay. That's 70,000 people less than a race. What happens? How do they feed and drink for those people and not for, significantly less than that?
Yeah.
My guess is that it's a different concession company is my guess. Baseball hired a company to do that, and not to get to logistics, but that's my guess anyway.
Yeah. So that was really disappointing that happened. And I heard other various things from people, maybe in different parts of the track, that maybe there were food in certain sections. But let's face it, you shouldn't run out of food for an event that's been advertised for like a year. That was advertised as a national event. This thing's going to be on national television.
Yes.
We're going to have a concert before. We're going to have Tim McGraw come in. I mean, they had a helicopter flying around filming the whole thing or watching it, and drones. I mean, it was all done up, like big time, and going, okay. So the funny thing is, and we were a little bit further away. We were in the outfield. So when Tim McGraw came out on stage and he's playing, we couldn't really hear him.
Now, where is he in relation to the field? Is he on the field?
Yeah, he's on the field. So
okay.
There was, so you've got, you had the stands, like if you're at a ballpark, and you've got the stands behind like home plate and all that. And then he was up towards the right of home plate. So toward the third baseline as he was. Yeah. So where that stage was, it was a little up. But the funny thing is, we could hear the public address announcer, but you could not really hear the concert. And I said this to you, and I've said this to a few other people. It was like if you're walking down the street and you hear a concert going on or music being played at a park, and you can go, oh, that's Journey. That band is playing Journey.
You can just make it out enough.
Just sort of make it out, but I'm like, we're here. We're inside.
I'm looking at the guy.
I said to my friend Jennifer, I said, it's almost like watching a concert in closed caption or something. I'm like, this is just strange that we could not really hear the concert. Now, I'm not going to go all negative here on it, because towards the end, he had coordinated music, which this was really cool. So they brought out the players in race cars, and they all had their individual numbers on the race cars, and they were in the cars, and they brought them around the track a couple of times, the Braves and the Reds players, and then they got them out and they got them on the field, and they were lighting off, introductions, fireworks, and all that. And then Johnny Bench and Chipper Jones, former obviously catcher for the Reds, and Chipper Jones, former player for the Braves, came out to throw out the first pitch. Now this is when it all really went downhill. Because when they come out, I look across the way and I said, hey, is that just smoke over there by the lights from the fireworks? Or is that a lot of mist? Or am I seeing a lot of rain? And you could see on the Jumbotron, poor Johnny Bench, who's like 82 years old now or something, is getting rained upon. And they threw out the first pitch. And man, they got the tarp out on the field. It was about a 2.5 hour rain delay. They tried to start the game over again. It didn't work out, and they called the game, and that was pretty much it. And then we had great parking near the Bristol Motor Speedway. It was maybe 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile that we parked. But we sat in the parking lot, I am guessing 45 minutes to an hour before we went out. And when we all got in the car, we were sitting there thinking, are we coming back tomorrow for this? And I think all of us were sort of almost a yes. Even though I had planned to go home on that Sunday anyway, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to stay. And my cousin Kevin, who I've mentioned on this podcast before, he's a season ticket holder to the Reds. Him and his son Corey came to the game, and I ran into him at the game. They had the closest they could stay at was a hotel in Sevierville. And he called me, and he asked me, did you guys get out yet? I said, no. And they had parked a little bit away, so they were able to get out from the traffic. But he was saying there were other people, because he asked me, he said, that you guys didn't park in that field where people are getting stuck in the mud, are you? And I said, no, thank God. No.
My God, there might still be people there trying to get out.
Yeah. So he said right away, he said, we're not coming back tomorrow. And I think it got to the point that the longer we sat in traffic, because we didn't get back to our Airbnb till 1 o'clock in the morning. And I know by the time I got back to our Airbnb, I was like, there ain't no way I'm getting up and doing this again tomorrow.
That's the thing. Even if it's less people, it's still just as bad, right?
Yeah.
And can you imagine the food situation the next day that they hadn't even planned for?
My friend's boyfriend said exactly that. He said, if they didn't have food today, they're probably not going to get food in tomorrow.
No.
I never heard anything about that the next day. None of us went back. Now I'm going to say this on a positive note. It was a great experience. I did expect her. People listening to this going, what did you expect? I know. You do expect challenges at events like this. I would not trade that experience because I'm glad I went. I got to see some good friends. I got to experience it. But I will tell you this much right now, and I know Major League Baseball, they do this for all kinds of events. We see it in Nashville, too. They don't care how long it takes for you to sit in traffic. They don't care how much the hotels are. I get all that. But I do think that they could have made an adjustment to maybe starting the game earlier, perhaps, and getting the game. Because if they would have started the game at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, knowing maybe there was weather coming, I think they could have gotten the game in.
And I'll be the devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
TV did not want that to happen.
No, they didn't. No. And again, I live in the real world. I'm not naive. I know it's about network and I know it's about money. But, there's people that would absolutely go back. But I do think some of the things I just outlined, I think Major League Baseball should take responsibility. I think Major League Baseball failed on some of this stuff.
Yeah. From the outside looking in and watching on TV and the stuff that came afterwards, everybody was painting a perfect picture.
Yeah.
From a high level. You know what
Sure.
I mean? Baseball had such a great event and all the other stuff. But when you talk about the stuff when it gets down to you and I, to this level, say, hey man, it's not the the logistical stuff sucked.
Yeah.
Right. It's just but some things could have been prevented too. And that's the stuff that's
and
crazy.
They'll do it again. They'll do an event like this again.
Sure,
because
there's still 91,000 tickets to the thing.
They made money.
Yeah.
They made money, and it's all about making money. And I get it. Again, I live in the real world. I get it. I don't regret going, and I don't regret the experience. But was I going to go back and maybe deal with that again the next day? No.
Right.
It's like, no.
Yeah, like, your time is worth something too after all that. Like, hey, you were there, right? You didn't get to see the whole game, but you were there. You got to see some baseball. You got to experience it. You got to see the pomp and circumstance that it was before the game even started. So you got to experience all that, which is exciting. And, and the stuff before even the game, the stuff you did days prior. So I can see how it would be a great experience. It's just the game part, the ultimate getting to see the whole game wasn't, you didn't get to see that, but
right.
But otherwise, I concur. Look, I've been to not the same thing, but I've been to 2 outdoor hockey games, and logistically, not the greatest things.
Yeah,
they're terrible. So, but you go for the experience.
Yeah, we were kind of joking the whole time because I had heard that I think that they'd probably look. It's nothing against Bristol, Tennessee. It's just a smaller area. We had heard rumors, and I don't know if it's true or not, that they had probably rented out a hotel beforehand for the players. In case this would have happened. And somebody said, imagine, because there's not a whole lot of hotels, walking down the hallway of a hotel that you normally wouldn't walk down to and going, hey, look, there's Ellie De La Cruz
yeah.
at the ice machine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they probably had to make every concession, right, to make in case anything happened. Because
anything happened,
where the hell are you going to go? Like you said, you can go all the way to Atlanta and then come back.
Yeah, I made the joke that night. I said, I doubt Tim McGraw was staying at the Bristol Hotel tonight.
He helicoptered the hell out of there.
I'm sure he had his limo back to the Tri-Cities airport and had that jet waiting for him back to Nashville. Probably landed in his backyard. So yeah. But no, honestly, no regrets. It was a good time with friends. I had a blast. The trip was very entertaining. The baseball experience under those circumstances, I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah. You said it. They'll have it again somewhere. And I won't say racetrack is the worst place. Maybe depend. Who knows? Look, that was the very first Major League Baseball game ever in the state of Tennessee. So
wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yes, ever.
Huh, okay.
So that's a claim to fame for Tennessee. We're trying to get a team in Nashville. All right, that doesn't hurt. All right, that looks good for Tennessee. Hey, we want baseball here. So
right,
I would like to see them do it again. I hope they're better prepared next time. Does the location matter? Sure.
Yeah.
But location is also the draw. Imagine that. I mean, remember the football game between Virginia Tech and University at that same exact track several years ago.
Yep.
It's a draw.
Yeah.
And
and see the other bad thing was, and I heard this is that, and I don't know how. Again, you hear so many things, you don't know what's fact, you don't know what's what. But I heard during races, you can bring food in. For this event, you weren't allowed.
Yeah. It's different management, if you will, because Major League Baseball took control of the event versus Bristol Racetrack or whoever, you know what I mean? Like, or NASCAR or whatever. So they were totally unprepared. Like, baseball should have been worked hand in hand with the other group that, does it all the time.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look at the camera right now and say, Rob Manfred, Major League Baseball Commissioner, you owe me a hot dog, buddy. And a good beer. I'm sure it's coming.
And maybe a couple of tickets to a game or something, right?
Yeah. What the heck is going on here?
What is going on here? Who are these people? No. Well, I hate that you couldn't see the rest of the game. I'm glad you got to experience it. I hope they do it again. I hope it's cool and I hope it's just better next time. I would like to go. When I saw Bristol, I was like, oof, I know there's one way in and one way out of that place. I don't know if I ever want.
Well, if it happens again, you go. And you report back. You let me know if your experience was better, because I'm not going again.
Sacrifice the next one.
There you go. But the great thing about the trip, I got a lot of great beer, except the Michelob Ultra, and that was a fantastic thing.
I still think you should check that in because of the location. I think it'll be a cool thing. Nobody will make it. Shit, you can backdate it if you want to on the app.
I'll get right on it.
Look. You got beer, you got new experiences, and you got a great story. Hell, we got a whole podcast out of it.
I know it. It. More content, and I took a lot of great pictures.
Yes, and they're actually really good posts and really good pictures, especially of the pregame stuff.
I stopped posting posting after a while. When the rain delay happened, I just said, the heck with this. I don't have anything good to say, so,
It's raining. Still raining.
Yeah. Still raining, everybody. I got nothing here. Just waiting around.
It was so funny on TV when they actually started the game. And I'll tell you what, I feel sorry for the announcers. It's their job. I get it. But they had to fill so much time. They were repeating themselves. They were bringing in guests. Like, they had to kill so much time. But I guess I forgot my point. But just to watch it on TV. Oh, I know what it was. When the game finally started, and it wasn't long, it was pouring. And they're out there playing. I'm like, it's just like, how soon before? I guess they try to get an inning in. I think ultimately is what they try to do, is get one inning in or something. Because it was inevitable. They were gonna stop it again.
Yeah, and I'll bet those announcers didn't have any trouble getting good food.
No, hell, they were talking about the snacks that they had. They were running through all the snacks.
I didn't get any snacks.
Yes, there was no snacks. There was no snack basket for you.
I don't have any snacks.
They could just call down and get whatever they wanted. Not for you. No.
Yeah. We didn't have any snacks. Couldn't get any of that.
So on some of the stuff we saw were like, if you got a hot dog, there were no buns. Or if you got nachos, there was no cheese. Like that stuff went out first. I don't know how the buns don't match the hot dogs, but whatever. And then there's no cheese for the nachos. So that was the first. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I told you when I went up to him and I asked him, like, what are their beer options? And it was like Budweiser, Michelob Ultra, Modelo, and it was something else. And I just said, just give me a Michelob Ultra, for God's sakes.
And then you were like, God, well, at least we can watch a baseball game.
Yeah, I'm watching all this, and I don't even care.
God, the beer sucks, but at least we got baseball.
Well,
and then not so much.
And it was multitasking because I'm going, I can drink a beer and I can hydrate at the same time.
Yeah.
So I need some water.
For $14 or whatever the hell it was, or was it more?
Yeah, amazingly, it did not cost that much. That's probably why. We thought it was going to be more expensive. No, I think it was probably $12 or something.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I say it's fair. It's crap beers.
Yeah.
So, well, we're glad you told us about the experience. I was out there. It's official. It's down
it's
on.
Official.
It's recorded. It's on tape. It lives forever.
It lives forever. Now we got it out. Hey, Scott. So on this podcast episode, we had already recorded this one, but 2 days later, after we had this episode recorded, we realized we're going to have to jump in again and re-record something else, because we had some really, really big breaking and shocking news in the beer community. So it was a Friday night. It was a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sitting there and I'm checking my phone, and I look and I read what I thought I read, and then I had to read it again. And it was Listerman Brewing in Cincinnati was going to be closing the next day after 20 years of existence. And I got to tell you, man, I texted you, I texted a group of us right away about it. I couldn't believe it. And I think the shockwaves and the beer community is still out there.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. It was very abrupt, as you said. To go 20 years is a feat in itself, and to close after that is really a shame. You and I have a lot of memories there with a lot of different people.
We do. And, you know, I was thinking about this. I love our top 10 lists on the Brewery Underground podcast. And we put them out sometimes every year of like, here's our top 10 favorite breweries or new breweries. And I think if we ever came up with what's our top 10 favorite breweries of all time, I don't know if Listerman would make the top 10, but they certainly would be in the conversation of that. That's how I think, from my standpoint, and I think from your standpoint too, how important Listerman Brewing in Cincinnati was to us as beer drinkers.
Absolutely. I remember going there for the first time and admiring all the barrel-aged stuff.
Yes.
Remember, like the wall was just full of it, and then they would have bottle releases, and I think we bought some bottles there one time from some, barrel-aged things that they had. And that's kind of how I got to know them. And then, you go back in there and everything was 10 or 12 or 14%. And you're like, this is awesome. Yes.
It was. Yeah. And the thing is that we want to say is we're looking at beer drinkers and consumers as their overall body of work, because we know there were changes that happened, at Listerman over the years. We know about 2 years ago, they got bought out. I mean, Dan Listerman had retired and sold out to another couple. And we don't know the reasons as to why Listerman abruptly closed. And we know, I heard this too over a couple of years ago, that I think because there were so many changes that had happened at Listerman, there were some other brewers that left, and maybe there were some different things going on there as well. But I got to tell you, from my standpoint, whether there were changes or whether there anything that was going on, from my perspective, from the first time I went there about 10 years ago to the last time that we went there back in mid-May, I always enjoyed the space. I always enjoyed the place. And each time I went, I always enjoyed the beer.
Steve, every time we went, and when we went with different groups of people were always buying beer to take with them when they left. We'd sit there for an hour or two, however long we were there, drink all the beers, and then it was always to-go stuff, because they always had such good stuff. And that happened every single time we were with different people, in ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I even thought over the last 10 years, how many different people I was there with you. I was there, a couple times with you and Matt, and then, Crafty Good Beer and Pedalbound Brews from Cleveland. We were there with them last year. And then this past May, we were there with our friends, the Hill Tappers, our Cincinnati correspondent, Liz. She showed up as well. And in fact, Liz and I had gone there back in March because we were going to do a St. Patrick's Day episode. And the funny thing was, I went there seeing on their website that they had some St. Patrick's Day beers. It was like the Mint Shamrock Shake, which still, I remember, when we go through our top 10 beers of all time, of 2025 at the end of this year, that may still rank up there. So Listerman holds a lot of memories for me. I'm very glad we had the experience of Listerman. You talked about the barrel aged. I remember the very first time I went there, it was a recommendation of you. You had gone through there and you had said to me, have you been to Listerman yet? And I said, no. And I'd gone there. I was in between some family stuff, and I walked in, and that was during the time where they were doing a lot more high ABV stuff. And I looked at the board, and I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Stokes had gotten there before me, and I was coming back from somewhere, and I got enough time to stop for one. It was the only place I could stop at coming through Cincinnati, and I stopped there. And then as a matter of fact, I remember what I got there, or at least I remember what I brought back, and it was the lemon pound cake. Remember?
Oh, my very first check-in was a lemon pound cake. I had it the last time I was there. Tom at the Hill Tappers, I told him, get the lemon pound cake. I probably had that thing about 4 times. And in fact, I went on my Untapped app, and now see, I had checked in the lemon pound cake back in 2020. And that was, even before I was rating a lot of beers consistently. I had checked in consistently since about 2020, about 21 beers from Listerman. I know I had a lot more than that, but I got to tell you, from a rating standpoint, pound for pound, almost every beer that I ever had at Listerman, I would have to say that I would have gotten again. There was only one. And I knew when I bought it on a 4-pack, and because I was from that area, I thought it was funny. When I bought a 4-pack of Don't Talk Shit About Norwood, which was a pale ale.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of that one. I didn't think I was going to be, but I love the name and I love the creativity. It just kind of went with the area, and at the time. So that was a lot of fun too.
Steve, just that beer alone, when we drive through that area and every time the sign, like when we're driving down the road and Norwood pops up like on a sign, I just always look at you and say, don't talk shit. It's because of that
don't
beer.
Talk shit about Norwood.
Every single time we see Norwood, I just say it because of that beer.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I just have to say, Listerman for us, I mean, when we would go up there and when we would talk about what are our favorite breweries in Cincinnati, to me, Listerman was in the top 5 of conversation. And they had been there for, 20 years, and they had started out as one of the originals in the Cincinnati area. So, we don't know why they closed so abruptly. That's unfortunate. I hate it, but I can tell you this much right now, as a beer lover and a lover of craft beer, Listerman holds a lot of great memories for me, and I'm glad that we have them.
Totally. And you just mentioned a few minutes ago about the mint shamrock shake. Coincidentally enough, and I think you saw the clip, we did a St. Patrick's Day episode back in the spring or March, whenever we actually did it. And you were talking about that beer, and I found the clip from that the other day and posted it.
Yeah.
On that exact thing, just that exact clip. You're talking about that specific beer.
Yep.
And, it was perfect for around that time of the year, too. So.
Yeah. And unfortunately, only a day's notice, we weren't able to get up there and have a final beer at Listerman. One of the great things is that, our buddy Tom with the Hill Tappers, his daughter, Beer Cat, who lives up there, she was able to get there and have a final beer. So I kind of feel like, in a way, we're all in part of the beer community together. I think she helped represent us a little bit when it comes to Listerman Brewing and
totally
them going away. So
yeah, someone that we knew was able to get there that final day and clean up on some beer. I think she got a nice glass too, if I remember.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, we hate any breweries go away, and this one kind of is a little special to us.
It is
for all those reasons you mentioned.
Yeah, well, we felt it was important that even though we had already recorded an episode, we wanted to extend this one to talk a little bit more about a brewery that meant near and dear to us. So, you know what? That's how we're going to end the podcast episode today.